Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So you
Yeah,
said
good,
okay.
good.
So it will drop on your laptop and you can share it.
Yeah.
Mm.
You just share it with the guild platform. I'll
Yeah.
upload it.
Wait. Yes. Yes. So yeah. So I will, for this recording, it will not be only me talking. It will be question.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
You can start with me, please.
okay, please. Can you tell me how you set up framework from scratch?
Thank you so much. Yeah. If I want to start from scratch, I will need to download Visual Studio, and I will make sure that I make sure that it's community version. When I download the Visual Studio community version, I prefer 2022. So after the download is finished, I'm going to open it. When I open it, I'm going to uh, type SpecFlow and put SpecFlow on it. After I put SpecFlow on it, so I need to close it. And even when after that the dialog box that we call save modify will come up, I will click it and close the Visual Studio. So after I close the Visual Studio, I will reopen it again. I restart it again. After I restart it again, and I'm going to go and download or install my NuGet packages. The NUnit console, NUnit 3 steps adapter, NUnit runner, SpecFlow, NUnit, Selenium, Chrome driver, Selenium web driver, Selenium support. So I make sure that I download all those 8 NuGet packages and then go to my Solution Explorer and create my folders. So I need to create my folder. I need to create my hooks. I need to create my page object. I need to create
Feature
my
file.
I
Feature
need to
file.
create my
Feature
what
file.
yeah, I need to I was convinced that somebody is interviewing, so I need to create my feature files and then what was step definition. So from that step definition, the first thing is that I'm going to set up my hook. So when I set up my hook and write my code in my hook, so and then begin to navigate between my step definitions and then page object to write my text. Yes.
Okay. I will talk after because if I give your points now, it might help Adedayo. So Adedayo, your next please. How do you set up framework from scratch?
All right, setting up framework from scratch is I'll download my Visual Studio 2022. I'll make it it has to be the community version. Then I will press continue with that code. I'll go to my extension and I'll download SpecFlow. I'll integrate the Visual Studio with SpecFlow. And once I do that, I'll close it and let it integrate with a dialog box that will cover which is modified. Once I do that, the process will go. Once it's done, I'll open my specs flow again. I'll create my project. I can create my project from the beginning, and I can always create it from the within the app when it's all set up. But let's assume I'm creating from the beginning. I'll create my project, then I'll go into the application itself. Then here, I'll integrate my Nugget packages, my 8 Nugget package. I haven't got my paper to read them out now. I do know them. Once I integrate that into the Visual Studio, then I'll start creating my folders, my feature file, my page object, and um, what's the one? Um, feature file, page object. Uh, go the script.
Okay, thank
Step
you.
definition.
I'm not finished. Let me finish.
Okay,
My step
continue. Okay, continue.
my step
Okay.
definition will be created from my when I input my test case and I'm binding it. That creates my step definition, and I
Profile.
will bring my text explorer. I'll dock it where it needs to be. Then I'll clean and build to make sure my system is all set up. If it says without error or without no issues, then I think I'm good to go to start writing my code. I'm done.
Okay, we will move to the next person, Ola. So let's move to iPhone 4. Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah, let's move to iPhone 4. Is Ola part of you?
No.
Oh, is he a body?
Yeah, Ola is
Everybody
part
else
of us, is iPhone 4. Then we have Tunde
Yeah,
as
no,
well among us.
yeah, we want to hear from iPhone 4 and also Tunde as well. Because it's not good when regular people join the meeting and they talk and we have people on the call. So you can see we can see Tunde's work in terms of the demo, but we also want to hear him talk about how he can set up framework from scratch as well. Did you get it? So let's hear from iPhone 4. It would be good if you rename your name from iPhone 4 because it's Zoom. You can just click on rename and rename it to your name rather than iPhone 4 so that we can know who is under that iPhone 4. So please, if you are at work, let us know you are at work. And it will be good if you also say something too. Please, let's give it a try. You don't have to be perfect. We are all learning. I'm also learning. So let's hear from.
Sorry, I'll be back in like 5 minutes, please. I'm at work.
Problem.
I'm calling out, please.
Okay, that's fine. Let's move to Tunde, please. Tunde, let's hear from you. How do you set up framework from scratch?
Okay, I go on to Google, put in my Visual Studio 2022, then go on to the Microsoft website and then download Visual Studio 2022 from the Microsoft website. Once I download that, Windows installer also comes up. I install that one on my system. Once both Windows installer and Microsoft and Visual Studio is downloaded, then I continue with our code, get into the framework, and then what I now do is that I clean and build. Once I do that, you come to the front, or you come to the you come to the a page where you have to put in your you have to put in your name, where you want the name of your project, where you want it to be stored. You put that one in it, and then you create a folder for it anyway, and you put it there. Then you put next, and then you now add you now go to the main. You now put in you now put in end unit, and then you end unit, and then you after that, and then another one again. I can't remember what the other one is. End unit and something else. You now move to you now click to the next one, and then you get onto the main board. When you get onto the main board, you clean and build. You now go to your tools. You go to manage extensions and tools. Then you manage then you go to extensions. Then from there you now add your Nugget packages. You manage Nuggets. Sorry, Nugget Manager. You choose Nugget Managers. Then you add your Nugget packages. Selenium WebDriver, and like Kayode said, about 8 of them, end units like that. Then after that, you clean and build, and then from there you now start adding your folders in your Solution Explorer. You right click on your project. Then you put add, and then you use folder, new folder, and then your folders, you have to create page object, you have to also create hooks. Then after that, you move if your Test Explorer has not moved to your left-hand side, you move it to your left-hand side. Once you do that, then the next thing is you now write you now create your feature file. To do that, you go on your project, which is in your Solution Explorer, the name of your project, which is your Solution Explorer, right click on that, and then you say add, and then new item. It comes into, you get into a page where it tells you feature file. So underneath, you write the name of your feature file, you give it a name, and you put create. So it now creates your feature file. On your feature file, you now write out your steps using the given when then. And then once you write out your steps, then you right click that, and then you click on define steps. That now creates your step definitions. Now, already you've already created, like I said before, by right clicking your project, you have to create your page object as well, and you have to create your hooks, and you have to create your test that data. So after that, after you've created all that and created your step definition, you now go to create your hooks. To do that, you right click on your hooks folder that you've created, you click add, and then you click new item, and it opens another page for you. And then over there, make sure you create, of course, what I failed to say at the beginning is that you have to have downloaded SpecFlow as well onto your system. So after that, you now create your hooks. You write your name of hooks and then create your hooks. And then after that, you now write your code in your hooks, and then start to do your what you're doing there is that you are creating, you're using your page object. All you're doing is you are locating your elements in your page object, and then you are creating methods to do something like send keys or click. You're creating methods because methods do something in your page object. Now, in your step definitions, you have to call your you have to create an object for your page object in your step definition, and then use that object that you've created to access your methods. Access your methods in your page object. You are accessing your methods. Sorry, so that let me just round up so that someone else can take over. So basically, that's exactly what you're doing. And then that's how you create your page object. And then, of course, you have to access your hooks. So that your hooks, which you've created, is before future, after future. Hooks is basically what you want before future, after future, before scenario, after scenario. Is what you want the system to do before it runs something. So you just put it in your hooks. So basically, that's how you create your framework.
Okay, thank you, Kayode Adedayo. And all at that, we can't see our iPhone 4 anymore. And Tunde, so I will start with you, Tunde. If I will score you, first of all, I will score you 3 out of 10. Because the reason why I will score you 3, because I want you to work more on it in the next session. The reason why I will score you 3, because what you need is structure, and also you know what you are saying, but I want you to put it in a structure, and you need to apply that to yourself. Like, in our CV, we already said we are working 4 years, 5 years. So, because if I'm working in a place for 4 years, the way I will answer interview question, can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah. So because I work in a place for 3 years, 4 years, the way I will answer how to set it up should be different. So now, we will now assume that your CV is 3 years. So when they ask you, how do you set up framework? Because the reason why they ask you this question is because in your CV, you already put there, you set up framework for a particular project. Don't forget, in the job description that is in your CV, everything you put there is that you set it up from scratch. Even when they say, talk about yourself, you already mentioned that, in this project, you help them to set up their framework from scratch. So when they now ask you, how do you will not answer the way you answer like that. The reason is because you need to apply it to yourself to say, this is how
I was able to set it up for them. Now, why I score you 3 is because you're saying, of course, because the question is an interview question so that we don't get carried away. So we won't say the word of course. And you were using a lot of words that is not supposed to be used. Like you're saying something like, of course, and yeah, you from hook, you went to, before you use that, you need to do spec flow. No, it has to be structured. So because it has to be structured, then before you start having objects in your page object, talk about user story, talk about manual testing. Did you get it? Because you want to sell yourself, because by the time you are talking about, what I've asked you is about setup. I've not asked you about how you're using the framework setup to do your automation. Did you get it? So that we don't mix the two, but we can mix the two if we want to sell ourselves more. That is, when you finish the setup, now sell yourself more into agile, because before you can have anything to do with automation, there must be refinement meeting where that story is refined. When that story is refined, then it goes to sprint planning, where that story will be committed. So once it's committed, you started writing your test cases. By the time you're writing your test cases, even when the developer is working on it, you are already putting those tests in the automation framework. The only thing that you will not put is the object that you're talking about, which is the private by, whether by CSS or CSS expert, or you use your full object, which is you want to declare the full part of that object, which is the iWeb elements, driver, blah, 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 and you continue like that. You must start from somewhere. But well done, because we will still do this again so that mark will go up. So that mark will go up from 3. Then I will that is that, and then I will now tell you how to set it up. To Adedayo, I will also score you 3 too, because it needs improvement, so that, because it's a gradual process. Adedayo, you also need a structure. You know it, but you need to structure it, and you need to answer it like you've been a tester for 4 years, not a tester that is learning. Because the way you have summarized, you have talked about the framework, is like somebody that just finished a training. So they now said, like, they is asking you, okay, tell me how you set it up. That is the part you are telling me. You've not answered it like an interview question. Interview question is how you've been able to set it up at work. Then you now need to say, oh, I'm a QA tester on this project. It's a greenfield project whereby there wasn't anything like framework. So I have to set up the framework from scratch. This is how I go about it. Then if I go back to Tunde, you were saying something like you download Community Visual Studio. No, Adeda, you are the one that said you have to download Community. Then Tunde, you said something about the downloading process. Now, I'll talk about the download process later after I finish. So Adeda, you need to structure it, and also you kind of get lost. You were carried away. You are forgotten that it's an interview question. You're like, okay, you're pausing. Okay. You won't do that at interview. So that is the reason why I put 3, so that next time when we ask the same question, we will know that, oh, it's interview. We will now be focused. You get distracted at a point, and yeah, so that we answer it proper. Because the reason is because you might get a call tomorrow from a recruiter, and that same recruiter is asking you, recruiter that is not a technical person, is asking you, how do you set up a framework? Because that has been asked from the company. And you don't want to go on and be distracted. You want the person to know that, yeah, you can do this, so that your CV will be put forward. Because it is how well you answer the recruiter that they will forward your CV to the HR, because they need that job. They need you to get the job so they can always get a bonus from you. So that is that. Then I'll move to Kayode. Kayode, you also did well. I'll also score you 3. And the reason why I score all of you 3 is because you need improvement. In the next time when we ask, so let's see how well you now structure it. That 3 does not mean you have done worse. No, the 3 is just to make it get better. So that because I can't score you 5, because there are still some bit O there that is missing, that needs to be covered. And you need to structure it well. So if I'm being asked, how do I set up framework from scratch? Even if the question is like, tell me how you set up. Me, what I would do is that I will say, thank you. I work on this particular project, whereby it's a greenfield project. And in that project, there wasn't anything like framework. They don't have automation tester in the team. I am fortunate to be the only tester in the team to start testing from scratch. So what I do by setting up the framework for them is that, first of all, I downloaded Visual Studio. I was given access to Microsoft. And the reason why I mentioned this is because you will not go to Google to download. The only time you go to Google is if the company asks you to go to Google. Most of the company will give you access. They will buy the license from Microsoft. They will send it to your email. From your email, you will now click on it. It takes you to where you can download. And if in that company, they will not buy you community. They will buy you professional license. So some company will tell you, please go to Google and download the free version. So you now need to pick, do you want to sell yourself as a free version Visual Studio to the panel, or you want to sell yourself as a full paid, which have to do with professional license. So you need to balance the two, whether you want to sell yourself as the professional license of Visual Studio downloader or a community. So you want to sell yourself more, you can now put the professional. So they give you the license. Once you're able to download it, the next thing I did was to integrate my SpecFlow, because that is the second thing you need to do. Don't say you continue without code. No, that is a textbook. Once the Visual Studio is downloaded, don't continue. You know that you will continue, but in terms of interview, you need to integrate your SpecFlow. So the second thing is that I integrated my SpecFlow. Make sure that my SpecFlow is up and running. And you only do this once. In my learning, I know that this can only be done once. It can never be done twice. Even if I decided to move from project to project, it is done. The third thing is that you need to do your folder structure. And the only time you do your folder structure is if you try to put a project in the Visual Studio. Of course, that is when you now talk about where you put your project in the Visual Studio. You talk about the test runner. It's just a flavor to the setup. You talk about the test runner, which is the SpecRun SpecFlow. If you want to stay with NUnit, please stay with NUnit. Because for you to have a test runner, you must integrate SpecFlow. You must do the step 2. If you did not do step 2, you might have challenges using SpecFlow. Because if you want to talk about SpecFlow, you need to do the step 2. Did you understand? So when you do the step 2, you'll be able to see the test runner, whereby you'll be able to use SpecRun, SpecFlow, and everything like that. Talk about the test runner. After that one is done, talk about the version. You can say version 3.1, even though it's outdated. Even though it's outdated, talk about it. Now, when you now go to when it opens for you, you need to set up your folder structure. Complete the folder structure, because by default, you have the feature folder structure created. You have the step by default, but you don't have the page object. So I have to put the rest of my folder structure, which is the page object, my utility folder, my test data. You can start talking about it as I know I have the feature folder. The feature folder is for all my features that I will be putting, which have to do with all the test scenario, test cases that I will be automating. My steps folder is also there, which after I've had my test, I've had my feature file and I've put my test, I need to bind it. So in that class have to be in the step definition folder. Talk about the page object. You need to expand the page object to, okay, page object is blah, blah, blah. Summarize it. Now, talk about the test data folder. This is where blah, blah, blah. You can summarize it, whereby there are a lot of things you can put in your test data. Whether you want to put your, when you want to talk about uploading files, you can put it in the test data as well. So you have different ways. Talk about utilities. Utility is where you can put your weight. So talk about it like that is how you've done for that particular company. So you now put it like, okay, I complete my test data. Like test data is where I put all the screenshots that will be needed, all the images that will be needed for the upload of that particular project. My utility folder is where I put all the weight classes that will be needed for that particular project. I also put my folder structure hook in the framework as well, whereby I had to, that is where I put, I have the before and after scenario, how it's going to launch my Chrome, because that is the NuGet package that I will be using for that particular, that I use for that particular project. Now you now move to NuGet package. I also install NuGet packages. Because you install it, you don't download it. So you need to know which one we download and which one we install. We download Visual Studio, which is the step 2. We install NuGet package. Did you get? We install NuGet package. If you're using SpecFlow, SpecRun, talk about Selenium, talk about the NuGet packages. Okay. I also, for that particular project, I install Selenium WebDriver, Chrome driver, which is one of the NuGet package that was needed for that project. Selenium WebDriver, Chrome driver, because I will be using Chrome. And the reason why, because I found Chrome much faster to use in all my testing life that I've been testing using automation testing. I found Chrome as the best to use. Let them see reason why you're using Chrome, because if you might have a panel that might have to probe you more why you are using Chrome. Also talk about the Selenium.support that you also installed. Now you also need NUnit for your assertion. Because I also installed the NUnit, because I know by the time I start doing my assertion, I might want to use the assert for my assertion, because we have what is called BDD, which is the given when then. The given is a precondition. The when, you need to own it like this is you. This is how, because by the time you're selling yourself, they're already taking it down that we already found the right candidates to bring to our project. Did you get it? Now, that is how to set it up. Before you can clean and build, you need to have a test inside your in your feature file. I think Tunde was talking about clean and build. You don't clean and build immediately. You need to have a feature file before you can clean and build. And that is the part that if you're using a SpecFlow test runner, you now need to activate your SpecFlow. So by the time you clean and build, you need to run the calculator step, because you have a calculator feature. Run it, you will see a warning whereby I have to activate SpecFlow, because it means that you know what you're talking about. You've done it several times. That is the process. So by the time I activated my SpecFlow, I know that my test framework is good and I can start using it for automation. Then I can now move into how I'm now testing using the framework for testing. Did you see that setup is different from testing? So for me to be able to use it for testing, there must be I work in an agile environment whereby we start with a backlog refinement meeting, whereby the product owner, the business analyst, and the dev team will look at story, and the product owner talk about which story will be ready for sprint planning. And we also, in that backlog refinement meeting, we do estimation so that it saves time. By the time we do the sprint planning, we just go straight into the sprint planning meeting. And we also, the tester, I do also estimate with the developers, and whereby we estimate based on the complexity of that user story. So we estimate based on the complexity of and we use the t-shirt size. You need to talk about whether you use Fibonacci series. You use Fibonacci series in Blue Sky. So talk about Blue Sky, say we use Fibonacci, whereby we have the 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and talk about where you pick 3, the complexity of 3, and the complexity of 5 and 8. Now, by the time we get to sprint planning, the story is committed to sprint. Developer pick it and put it in the dev column. I start writing my test cases. I know that I cannot execute the test cases, but I can start putting my tests in my framework, which I've set up. Now I put my tests in my framework. I make sure that my step definition is binding. My page object, I get it ready by having my iWebDriver and also my constructor ready, because I already have the NuGet package to support it. The only thing I'm waiting for is for the developer to finish working on that particular user story. Then I can complete my page object by putting my objects and also writing the method for that particular object. And once the developer finish working on that story, I go back to my framework and I open my test and I complete my page object by putting my elements there, writing my object, putting my element, and also writing the method, also making sure I run my test and make sure it passes. If it fails, it would have been captured in my manual testing, whereby I would have raised a bug for the developer, because you are now going from 1 into 1, and the person will kind of want to listen, and they will like, okay, we have the perfect candidate now. It's not like textbook anymore. Did you see it? It's not textbook anymore. It's now more into in fact, by the time you use 15 minutes, the interview session is almost over. Did anybody want to ask question? Hello?
Yeah, we are hearing you.
Hello.
Okay.
I want to ask a question, please.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, can you? I know you spoke extensively about that, about how we should do it. But I'm just curious, in case one gets into the to the interview and you just forget, your mind goes blank. Can you just say that you just when they ask you how do you set up? Can you say that you just how you follow the steps, as in you just follow when you download something, you just the next, you just follow through that. Can you say something like that, or you have to be specific?
Okay, if you forget like that, what you need to do is that you can now say that I know in a project, all the projects I've been working on, it's so unfortunate that I've never set up a framework from scratch, but I do know how to set it up from scratch. Because it's possible that all the company you are working on, there's always a repository ready for you, which is you have to clone. Talk about that so that by the time you make a mistake in the setup, it's covered. Did you get it?
Yes.
So that that part is covered, to say that you have not actually set it up for a company. You have not been so lucky to start a framework from scratch for a company, because your existing framework, you need to put that word existing. I've always been cloning the existing framework, but I can tell you how this is done. This is how to set it up, because I also have my personal device, which I do set up framework as much as possible that I need. This is the process, how you can do it. You can now go, even if you mix anything, it is fine. Did you get it?
Yes,
if you tell me like that, I will take it, because I know that the way that is how you know how to set it up. You've not actually done it for a company before. But if you tell me you've done it for a company before, I need you to tell me like you've done it as a tester in that project. Did you get it? You can see it's two different things now. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if I may ask, anyway, you talk about the about some utilities, the utility that we have.
Yeah.
I want you to talk more on that, those utility. And the second one is this, that is there, I believe that you have done the professional version of Visual Studio, which is not the free version that we are using. Is there any, what are the spectacular differences between them? Or are they this, is it the same way that we did this free version that is obtainable with the professional?
To be honest, I don't see any difference there. But I believe that one or two things will be different in terms of community and the professional. But so far that I've been using professional, it's not different from my community at all. But because it's professional, that's why it's professional. If a panel asks me, I will tell the panel what community free version can do. I will tell you that professional version can also do the same. So because I've all my years as a tester, I've tried the two versions and I see it that it's just the name that is just different. Because you want to prove to the person that there's no difference in community and professional. It's just the name and the license that is different. The license that you have for professional might be different from community. For professional, you need to buy it. You need to pay for it. But for community, it's a free version that you can use. So what the community have used for, you can tell them that you work in a company and you use community. And all through your time in that project, it was a free version that you used and nothing have been an issue using the community free version. And you can also say that you also use a professional version. You still see that you can integrate SpecFlow successfully. You can clean and build your test. You can have your hook successfully. You can put all the folder structures successfully. You can install your Nugget package successfully. Nothing. The word professional and enterprise, because we have professional, enterprise, and the community. The word enterprise, professional, community is just the name. I still say is that they can still use, I can use the three at any time without any issue. Whether it's professional or community, it still do the same job for me all my testing life. Did you get it? Because you need to cover yourself. You don't want the person to say, okay, what is in that professional that is not in community? I don't want to start Googling it. But so far that I've been using professional at my tool work, it's not different. Ask Mr. Deji. He will tell you, no, maybe one or two things might be added that community don't have. I've never Googled it, but nothing is different. Because at home, if I open my laptop, I still run a clean, build, install Nugget, everything is fine. No error, no issue. At work, I do the same. So I see no difference, it's just the name. That's what I can say. But of course, we can read more online. I wouldn't say you shouldn't read more. Different between professional IDE, Visual Studio IDE, and community and enterprise. Please read more. But to me, that is how I will answer it because I've used the two. I do not see, still now, I don't see any different because it does the same work for me successfully. So it means that you are now selling yourself to that company to say, if you don't have money for professional, I can perfectly use community version for you as long as I am in your project. So sell yourself to say you are saving costs because the professional is cost more. The last time I know about the price was when in my first job, it cost £960 to get the license for a year. So if a company is buying £960 for just to download Visual Studio to have it for 1 year, and I can get the free version for many years. So you can sell yourself to say yes, no difference. And you can even say, if you employ me as a tester today, I will also employ you. Let's try the community version. And I'll tell you that it will be successful. And with that, I can even save you costs. Did you see? Because no company will hear that you're saving costs and they'll say, no. We want you to use our money. Did you get it? And I think you also asked me about utility as
Yeah,
well.
so much. And the utility, and you see the under the test, yeah, after test that you can, yes, please.
Yes, for the utility, what you can have, you can have different classes inside utility. Utility is just a name. Let me tell you, utility is just a name of a particular class, that a particular folder you needed. You can have as many things under utility, because that what utility is, that you want to put a lot of things there, like extra thing that is needed for your framework. That is how I will summarize utility. Extra thing needed to support my test, which are some classes, like I can put a file uploader inside my utility. I can call it utility and I put it there. I can put a weight in the utility. I can put download class, because when you work on a project whereby you can download the CSV, you know, we have, when you want to download now, it goes to your download folder. If you now have a project that has to say that you should go to, you need to click on the button download, and it goes to the download folder in your browser. You need to have a class for it. I put my download folder in the utility. And also, you can also have, what else? You can also have, if you use SQL, if you use SQL, you can also have your SQL queries class in your utility. The word utility is whatever you as a tester decided to put inside. Not, there is no definition that this have to be what should be inside utility. Even you can change the word utility to test data and just put all those classes there. But of course, you don't want to say test data, whereby it's not about data. Did you get it? But you want to use utility because it covers every classes you put under. Did you get it? So when you talk about test data, you want to talk about the data that you are trying to save, which is the like images. So if you have a class utility whereby you have the file upload class to call your upload, then you have a test data whereby you put all your images. Because if you work in an e-commerce whereby you need to upload, or you need to register to upload an image, you need a place to store all those images. Because is a shared framework where all the testers will be cloning. So you need a folder to store the images. So that is where you now involve the test data, whereby you store all your data. So, and most of the test data, you don't see class under it. So if you see a class under it, that is how the person wants to create the test data. A test data will not have a class and will not have this drop-down option. It's a data. It will now be inside your, if you go inside your file explorer, in that folder, when we double click on it, what we show is all our images. But in the framework, it's not going to show you all the images. It will just be a test data. But whatever images is there is what we now put as a parameter in our feature file. So you now be, and I upload image 1. You put your double quote, and image 1 is JPEG 5. If it's JPEG 5, put JPEG 5. So what it means is that you already have a class for your file uploader. That is the class you will use in your page object. You must declare it at the top. In your step definition, you must put that class name. Any class you are calling, please, you must put it in your page object. You must put it also in your step definition if you will need it, because you are using that class. So you need to declare it, add it. It's compulsory. I would say compulsory, it's mandatory that you put it at the top, because you're calling that class anytime, any day. So you need to put it at the top. If it's file upload helper, say file upload helper, then you can rename it to underscore file upload helper. Did you get it? If you call the name file download folder, yes, file download folder space underscore lowercase file download folder, because you need it, and you also need the other part of it as well. I'm not on my, we are not doing the practical now. I could have said that we should do the practical, but there's no time. So that is how you need to declare, so that you'll be able to use it in any of your method. Did you get it?
You need to put it at the page object and
step definition, yeah. Because the reason why you put it in your page object, if you need to use the method direct from page object, because whatever you have in your step definition, you can also do the same in your page object. Did you get it? So whatever you can do in your page objects, you can also use step definition to finish it. Because the reason why it's like that is because some people don't use page object for their automation. You can run your test without creating a page object. You can just have feature file and step definition. You don't have to have page objects to run automation. You can also ask DG. You don't have to have page object to run automation. The reason is because the next class you are doing, Java you will start your learning with feature file and step definition to run your test. Then gradually we will introduce page object for you. It now depends on the tutor. The tutor can start from the beginning to introduce you to page object, or the tutor can say, let's start with feature file and step definition, and you will run your test to pass. Also, we can also do the same for C#. We can have just feature file and step definition. But the reason why we use page object module is because it's so good. It makes the code to be clean. A lot of benefits to use page object. Please read online. It makes the code to be tidy. And also you can have your object and your method, and you can also call it in your step definition to use. If you watch most of the YouTube online, you will see that most of them, some of them don't use step definition. They just put everything in one class. If you watch most video, have you watched a video whereby they will declare the hook? The next thing is that they put this page object and everything, and they put everything and they click on run and it runs. That means that you don't have to have a separate page object step definition to run your automation, as long as you know how to put your code. But most of the job, try to sell page object for them so that you get the role. Try to talk about page object module. It's very, very good. Okay. So should I ask another question?
You can go ahead.
Okay. So the next question is, what is the difference between test case, test script, and test scenario? It will be, the first person will be you, the second person will be Adedayo, the third person will be Olat, and the fourth will be Tunde. Is Olusegun part of you? Because I know there's Olusegun that is a body.
Yeah, I think I saw Olusegun the other time. Yeah, he's here.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in.
Yeah, Olusegun, you'll be number 5. The difference between test case, test scenario, and test script is just a basic interview question that I'm asking you, so that it will
what is the third one? You say test case, test scenario, and
test script.
Test script.
Yes. So when you finish, you pass it to Adedayo. When Adedayo finish, Adedayo will pass to Tunde. When Tunde finish, Tunde will pass to Olat. When Olat finish, Olat will now pass to Olusegun. Then we can now review. We also have, the good thing now is that we have some bodies on the call. So I will let them also talk to you about what you have said. We have Rita and Rexford. So Rita and Rexford is going to first of all talk, then I can now talk to, so that I give them the chance to also review your answer. Did you get it? So that we all share this knowledge. Is it okay like that?
Of course, yeah, it's okay. It's nice.
Okay, yeah, let's start with you. Then Rexford, when number 5 finish, you can start to review. Then Rita will also review all the 5. Then I can also chip in so that we share the knowledge. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Kayode, you can start, please.
Yeah, thank you for this question. Yeah, good morning once more. Yeah, test case is the steps that as a QA, as a tester, that you extract from the body of the story of the product of the test that you want to test. So you will now put it in a format that you can make you to be able to do your manual testing quite well. So test scenario is the body of the story of the product that you need to test, that come from the PO and the BAs now, before which the developer worked on before they passed it onto tester, like me. So from that is from the test scenario that I extracted my test cases from. And then this test script is the result of of my tests that I've done, that I've carried out on the product, on the test scenario. So after doing my after doing my manual testing, I will do the test script to record what either the test is passed, or I was able to release a bug from it, or and then when I do my automation, the test script is what I will send to and attach it to the test scenario to be as the result of the test that I've carried out on the product. Thanks.
Yeah, we move to the next person, please.
Good evening, everybody. I want to talk about test case. Test case are the story in Gherkin syntax as written by the testers. They developed these from the user stories, which must have been created by the BA team. Test scripts are just test descriptions of steps to take in testing those steps. How are you going to go about them? The test scenarios are just a header, which is just description of what you're actually testing. It's just a scenario of what you're going to be testing, like a title, some sort of. That's it. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Test case refers to the user story that you are working on. Like, for instance, if you are working on footer and you want to test case is basically like verify that you can see contact us on footer. That's basically it's just the user story that the BA has written and has given and has assigned the QA to test. So you work on your test case. Test scenario is the sum total of everything, the sum total of your actions, that the steps you're going to write out to test it, the expected results that you expect that you're going to get. It's just the sum total of everything that you're going to apply onto your test case to make it pass. Whereas test script is something like instructions that you have to apply to your test case to test the functionality of your test case. Thank you.
Yeah, let's move to the next person. Olat. Can we move to Olat? Can everybody hear me?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, let's move to
I
you.
can hear you. Good evening.
Good evening. When you finish, pass to Olusegun, please.
Olat is a body.
Oh, not you.
Olat is an Oga, is Oga at the top.
No, not you. We move to Ola.
We expose everything now.
Exactly. We move to Ola. Let's move to Ola, please. Ola, are you able to talk? Because I know you are at work. I don't know if he's the one that said he's at work. Okay, let's move to Olusegun.
He's the one that said he's at work. I think, yeah.
Okay. So let's move to Olusegun. Olusegun, what about you? Olusegun. Okay, maybe we can review the three of you. Yeah. So who wants to start first, Rexford or Rita?
Hello, can I start first?
Oh yes, Olat. Yes.
Olat, yeah. Good evening, madam. Good evening, everybody. Kiwi Sonko. Yeah, when they ask you at the interview, yeah, the differences, yeah, it's like where I can put it is that thank you very much for the question. Test case is a specific set of conditions here or action being designed for a functionality, or a component of a software, and it is defined the input, expected output, and the precondition of a necessary for executing the test. That's about test cases. And if they ask me, I can give them an example for that. Because in a test case of when you have a login feature, you might include your input such as username, password, and the expected output of successful login. Like, okay, you have a test feature, you can say, okay, when I navigate to prep major websites here, that is for the registration, and I enter my username, I enter my password, I click on submit button. That is about the test case. You are using your test feature for the test cases. And then for the test scripts, this is a detailed set of instructions, or let me say a command, that is steps to be allowed in executing a specific test cases. So it's provided an approach for the executing the test cases and ensure the consistency of the test cases. That's about the test script itself. And for the test script, it's like a programming language, scripting the language, because we have different type. We have Java, we have Ruby, we have there's the latest one now, Playwright, and we have C#. Different type of test scripting. So example also, you can use it in your example of the test script is like a login feature also, or for any registration page, whereby like say clicking the lockdown button and verify the successful login messages. So number 3, the test scenario. When we say test scenario, that will represent the high level description of a specific situation or event that could occur during the testing. And that's what normally describes the end-to-end flow of activities or interaction between different components of a system. So example of that one, when we are talking about test scenario, is like, let me assume that's an e-commerce website that's involved the entire process of adding items into a cart, like a long bridge, whereby you go there, you want to buy something, you have to click on a particular item to add into your bucket before you can make the payment. So that is all about the difference between the three. I hope I'm clear about that. A few slides on one, so it still keeps. Hello. Yeah. So just screenshot maybe 3 slides, and we'll just. Hello.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we can
Thank
hear
you.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you
can
so
hear you.
much.
Thank you.
Ola.
Okay. Olat, is it your review? Is it general for the 3 of them?
Yes, it's general for the 3 of them.
Okay. Rexford, did you want to go next, or Rita?
Yeah, I think. Well, I think they did well. I mean, they gave it a try. What they have to understand is that an interview, sometimes the tension is on another level. Sometimes when you are being asked a question, you don't have to rush into answering. So you just have to swallow in the question, have some few seconds to think about it. And most of the, I realized with
Ola, please mute.
With the first guy, Kayode, you did pretty well. You made, like, you gave explanation of each and every one of them. But the only thing is you didn't give an example. And in an interview, you don't have to sort of give like a textbook explanation. You have to use a lot of I when I'm doing this, and I did this. You don't have to say, so you do it like that. So a test case and this. And some of the time, if you are being asked a question, you can straight away go into answering it with an example. So I'll give you can be like, oh, okay, so test case. Yeah, so I can give you an example. This is how it goes on in my organization, or this is how I write test case. And that is why you guys are loose by Citadel. You guys do it practically. So sometimes when you are being asked the question, don't be scared of, like, don't think too much about the written aspect of it. Okay, like, when you go Google, what Google is saying, test cases, you've done it. So give an example of it in your explanation. it. Test cases this, test cases that, test cases this. Just like I mentioned earlier, so you just have to add an example to it. So just like Ola said, I mean, Ola has explained it all, but just like he said, I'll give you an example of a test case. Maybe I'm working on whichever project you mentioned in your CV, you told them that in one of the sprints, this story was committed, login. So you wrote a test case on the login, and you mentioned the test case. With the test case as well, you just say like these are the commands, the step-by-step, process you follow. You understand? You give an example. So for instance, in the login, these are the test scripts I wrote, and with the test scenario, you explain that just like Ola said, it's a high-level description, and most of this is like from the end user's perspective of it, and you also give an example of it. So when you're in an interview answering a question, don't try to give the textbook aspect of it. Try to tell them what you did. Okay, tell them what you did and give an example of what you did. And remember, in an interview, you are trying to buy time. So talk as much as you can. If you have been asked a question, talk as much as you can to buy time. Just like Ade, I think you just took 2 minutes to answer. I'm not like mentioning your name. I'm not like trying to, mention your name or something. But
your voice is fading sometimes. Restful, can you please move closer to the mic?
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
very well. Very, very well.
Yeah, so like I was saying, when you are being asked a question, don't just use 2 minutes. Even if what you are saying, you don't just have the confidence and say what you want to say the right things and give an example. Try to buy time. Yeah, Bimbo, I think that's pretty much what I want to tell them regarding this.
Thank you. If Rita can go, please. If Rita can also share.
Okay. Yeah. Hi guys. Hi, esteemed QAs. Yeah, just let's not forget this is a learning curve, yeah. So it's not for you guys to feel as if professionals or we are also still learning. So like what Olat and Rexford have said, I'll just buttress it. So for interview, you really want to sell yourself, right? Is everything they said is true. Like give it your all. Don't use definition. Go into details. Make it look real. Remember, you are trying to tell them that, I'm already doing this. You're not coming as if, I'm a newcomer. No, you're trying to establish the fact that I'm already in the system. So you have to make it look real. You have to dive in. You have to make it look as if, I know what I'm doing and I can do it. You're not coming to tell them, I'm just coming out from internship. So that's one thing for you to have at the back of your mind, and that will build your confidence. That will make you be hungry for it, to go for it more, to put all yourself into it. So like for all what they have said, that's the truth. Just make it a scenario base, comport yourselves and give them all the details. Use all the buzzwords, especially because sometimes though, some of the interviewers, I was telling Rex the other day, they don't even know it, or they might not even be QA. Some of them are hired to just interview you, and they have the buzzwords written there already. So they are waiting for you to hit on those buzzwords, So once you hit on them, in some cases, not in all, I mean, that will give you a push up, as in make you be at least one of the people that they are looking up to, before the next stage, if at all there's another stage. So let me not go too far. Let me leave the rest for Abimbola. That's all I've got to say. But anyway, good luck. More interview prep will help you. Just be confident. That's all, Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I will also go with everyone because they've said it all. But for me, when they ask you a question like this, let's sell ourselves more. The way we want us, I said that we should be answering the question is like, we are the tester. Did you understand? the textbook answer is what we have given. Of course, it looks like we should answer like it is a textbook, but because we want to sell ourselves, the reason why I'm saying this, because you might be 6 and you want to, maybe they're only looking for 1 person out of 6 people. Of course, I need to answer as best as I can, push the rest away. So I will not give definition. Mine will now be a little bit of flavor. Like I will now hone it like you are the tester. I am the tester. If you ask me about test cases, I will tell you what a test case is. Now, I will now sell myself to say, okay, I've given this is what I think a test case, test script, test scenario is. As a tester, for me to be able to do or write a test case, that story must be committed to sprints. The developer are working on that story because you want to sell more. Like, you must take me. Those 5, they are not the best. Me, I know the job. Take me. So that is how I say myself. I did this for Nest, but what did they give me? They gave me senior. But what did I know? I'm just coming from Blue Sky Citadel. But because I sell, they gave me senior in Nest. And that is the reason why I got that role as a senior test analyst for my first job. Because out of all of us, I added a bit of more flavor. The man was asking me, how do you do automation? Forget. I first of all go from sprint planning to backlog refinement to committed to me writing test cases for me to now start setting up framework, because I now said, oh, because he has now asked me how to set it up. I'm just telling you how I answer interview question. That is right. If I do interview, it's just God that is letting them give me the role. That is how I've answered. They've asked me, how do I do automation? Now, for me to do automation, I said to the man, there must be a story that I need to automate. So, of course, he knows that I cannot just do automation. There must be a story to automate. So he was nodding. So when I saw him nodding, you know, when you want to answer interview question and the person is already saying, oh, yes. So me too, my head was now swelling up. So because I saw the reaction that he was enjoying it, I just begin to blow this grammar. I said, okay, for me to automate, there must be a story that I need to automate. And for that story to come into sprint, I work in an agile whereby we do backlog refinement to refine that story. And we also estimate. I'm part of the people that estimate the story based on complexity. That story is now committed to sprint, where that ceremony is called sprint planning. I created my task, and which is the manual testing and automation testing. During the sprint planning, this task is being created and it's been estimated based on the efforts that I will use in testing it. Now, the story is now in committed. The developer are working on it. I realized that I am the only tester, and that particular story was the first story in the Greenfield project that there is no framework ready. So what I did was to set up framework from scratch for them. You know, it is how to do automation. It's just Abimbola straight answer. Please tell us. But Abimbola is going from here to there because I'm trying to sell myself to say, everybody you have on this interview, me, I want to stand out. Like, you should always remember me. So I go from there to say, set up my automation, but it's brief. So I told the man how I set it up and how I was able to break the story from the test case inside the framework. I told the man, I put the story and I said that I'm waiting for the page object to be done until the developer finished working on it. That is when I know that time. Then I saw the man nodding again. I said, oh, thank you. I will continue this. You see this one question, I will finish it today. Because he was nodding, he was giving me the motivation to talk more. So I said to the man, I said, now developer finished working on it and assigned the story. You see those buzzwords assigned, sprint planning, backlog, test cases. They are buzzword that is written down that you don't know that you're scoring, there's a scoring point. You see that word assign, it means that you are in the team, because for every story, they will always assign it to the tester. There is no way a story will be done by a developer that the developer will not assign, except if the company said our policy here is when developer finish working on story, don't assign, just put it in QA. But trust me, in all the company, they will always assign. So I said, when the story is now assigned to me, then I know that, and also it's in dev done column. No, I did not say dev done. I said it's assigned to me and it's now in QA, because for a developer to assign, the developer will make sure it's in QA. So if a developer is not assigning, it will be in dev done. Can you see? Up to assign to be in QA, or I own it up to be in dev done, to be in on assign. Because if a story is in dev done, like right now, that the developer are working with you, you will not see anybody assign it to you. You are now the one debating whether to pick it up. But once a story is assigned, that is real work scenario. Real work scenario, you will always have it assigned. So let's try to say Blue Sky also do the same for you. Real work scenario, you already know that you are working on that story. Definitely. It is because it's a training. That is why Adedayo is looking for who to test this story. Did you get it? That is why Kayode is saying maybe Adedayo should pick this one. No. In real work, you don't debate. You already know during sprint planning that this is my story. Did you get it? It is because it is Blue Sky Citadel. That is why it's like this, like, oh, who is going to test? Please don't say that during interview. Say the word assign, because who to test is not in real work. Who is testing is who will test it is already assigned during sprint planning. But it's just that you are assigned the task to test it during sprint planning. Your name will be on the task, not on the user story. But by the time the developer finish working on it, the developer also see that. And I also make mention of Azure DevOps. In fact, that is like a ringing tone. I said, oh, Azure DevOps is one of the test management tool for testing, which I can use to write my test cases, report bugs, test plan, pipeline. Tell me how I will not score points. The man was just, the more the man was nodding, the more when somebody is nodding and you finish the question, and trust me, I was nervous because my voice was shaking. When you are saying and your voice was shaking and you are nervous, you don't know. But the fact that it was nodding, I was enjoying the talk, and it did not stop me. Trust me, because he kept on like, okay, continue. And the reason why I said that is because when he wanted to ask me the next question, he said, wait, that question you finished all the question that I want to ask you. You've already answered that question, that one question, answer everything I've written down here to ask you, but I still have to follow next process, because the next process is that I should ask you this question one by one and I should score you. And every time he asks me, he always say to me, I know you've answered this before. When somebody is saying, I know you've answered this before, can you repeat it again? That is where I started saying, it's like I've gotten this job. Because he was nodding, and also he made that point to say, you have answered this before. Can you repeat it, because I need to score you based on how you've answered. So I now said, okay, like I've said earlier. So he's now like I've said earlier, because he knows that I know that I've covered it before. And I'm now using, like I said earlier, this is how I will answer this. This is this. Like I said earlier, this is how blah, blah, blah. And me, I don't know that they are scoring points. So that is how I said we should own those questions. And Rita also said, let's own it. And Olat also break it down for you, how you can say it. Rexford also said the same thing. Let's apply all those methods. You see, Olat first of all say it. Now, put Rexford on. Now own it like you want to finish them. that this is how it's done in real work scenario. So that is how I answered the question. And by the time they called me, trust me, they gave me senior. It was when they gave me that senior, when I now got the job, I'm now looking, what should the senior tester do? Because then I'm now like, okay, now I hope the wind will not blow now. My yash will not open. Because I finished the interview like I've done this work. Now I'm not in the company as a senior tester. I'm now facing the challenge of what should a senior test analyst do? That is another challenge. But the fact that I got the role, I share my testimony, that is what everybody wants to hear. The challenge is now, I'm now helping myself at work. So let us forget how it's going to be when we get work. Let us first of all get the work first, like Mr. Deji will say. Let's finish them. One question, in fact, even if we ask you one question here, go round and round. Make sure you finish it for the person, and the person will not know what to ask you again. That was what I did. So my second job that I got, she was asking me, and I was, because in Nest, when I now join Nest, they now make me do a lot of test plan. And they also use Azure DevOps. And when you work for Nest, you do like 70% manual testing. And it's a core manual testing whereby you must spot a bug. Even I was, my first week in Nest, I was looking, I could not see where a bug is. And this thing, Mr. Deji always use me for example, because I'm the person he always use, that every time, there was a time he asked, I should go and raise a bug. And I said, I don't know how to raise a bug. And I was in Blue Sky for 6 months. I could not raise a bug. He said, what? 6 months, you don't know? I said, because I've never found bug on the website. So since that time, he has always told developer to try and put bugs on the website, because I don't know. And he always asks a question in the, when he asks question, I would just be like, hola. I'll say, I'm at work. Because I'm shy, I have never raised a bug. What should I say? I don't know what to say. Everybody, and we gave it as an assignment. I will just tell him, oh, I'm at work, sir. I'm at work. And when you're at work, you're at work. Nobody can force you to talk. So I've always been shy until that day I said, I don't know what to do. And he said, okay, try. And they put a bug on the website. Then I could see that, yes, this is definitely a bug. So how to now write it, I started learning. I will go from one of the users' bug that someone have written before in Blue Sky Citadel, maybe Femi. I will now open Femi's bug. And now, okay, Femi said, I'll copy everything Femi have, paste it in my own. That was how I started. Then I will now start editing it. I don't need this one, I will remove it. I don't need this one. I will now go. I'll say, oh, Femi put screenshots here. I'll go to the bug. That is how I started. So when I joined Nest, that thing kind of gave me a challenge, because I'm just learning how to raise a bug. And now I'm now in a company whereby bug means a lot to them. So because I now learn it more, by the time I do my second interview, I just begin to say more. When you say something more in the first interview, you now had like extra in the second interview. That was what I did in the second interview. In fact, they used to put, the way that you answer interview will determine how much they will pay you for a company. So that is how they put me on that level. I will not say more than that, but I'm still hoping to go higher. And I said it in the advance that at work now, it's not like I'm expert, but the way that I'm learning here, I always say I'm learning. If I say I'm learning because it's like I want to overlearn. Overlearning is killing me. So that is why Rita always laugh if I say I'm learning, because it's like I want to overlearn. But because I want to overlearn, it's kind of helping me in my new work now, because we do more of automation and we are like 5 testers. When you are in a team like 5 testers, you are like, you stay one place, you try to like stand out. That is how it should be every work. Try to stand out from the team. You do more. By the time you do more, you just see anything they want to do at work, they will call me. Abimbola, come and do this. By the time they want to put someone to maintain the pipeline, because I talk a lot at work, they thought I can do the pipeline. I used to run for Blue Sky Citadel pipeline because it's a basic one we are using. Sometimes when it fails, I don't care. But because this is work, I'm like, how will this be? So I put myself forward. They put me, even I make mistake, I come back, I do it again, go on Google. So they now did a performance review at work. So what they do is that at work, they will do your performance, how you've been performing. If you're doing well, they will rate you. So at the moment now, so they now put me on the level that even when a role of a test lead come out, I can apply. Okay, I'm coming. When a test lead open, when you put you on that level, you are qualified to be like a test lead. But test lead come with lots of responsibility, guys. I said I always put myself like I can do things. This test lead, I'm already panicking. I will not lie, because I don't know what it takes to be a test manager or test lead. Because as a test lead, I think you have to know a lot about admin. You have to do lots of stakeholder meetings. You have to know the pipeline more. Then you have to know how Azure DevOps work because you will have testers under you. Now, Blue Sky Mr. Deji is grooming me like I'm also helping you now. It is now when I now get to that test lead, then I will now learn how to groom testers at work. So you just get the work first, then the rest will follow. That is just the point that I'm trying to raise from our interview session. I hope I've not talked too much, because I can continue and continue. Please ask me question. If I talk too much, just stop me and ask me question.
Even if you think you are talking too much, your word is not falling to the ground. They are always valuable. Whatever you think you are saying is always valuable.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, please, but I always like people asking me questions. No? Yeah, please, if there's any question, and if you want more session, please speak to Olaumi or Mr. Deji so that they can organize. They are or you speak to Adedayo is now the admin in your team. He's also admin. So speak to admin Adedayo. Then admin Adedayo will speak to Olaumi, senior admin. So yeah, so that we can have more of this keyway. And yeah, but I cannot just call meeting. I have to follow the protocol. Did you understand? So I have to be like, you have to do this. Because I'm not admin. So admin decide what should be done. So that we can have more of this keyway session. Now that your training is getting to close, please reach out to admin Adedayo. Then from admin Adedayo reach out to Olaumi. We speak to the Oga.
I haven't got powers like that though. I've only joined the admin to upload.
Yeah. Before you know, you are main admin now. Don't worry.
I haven't got powers like that. Olaumi is more in charge, and yourself, Papa.
No, me, I'm just a tutor. So that's the difference.
But if you say you want to
no, I
mentor
can't.
on something.
You see how to upload now. I don't have access to it. Not that I don't have access. I have access to all the server. Everything that is happening in Blue Sky, I have access to it. All the groups, I can see it, but I don't break protocol. I follow protocol. So because I have access to it, I should not start logging, no, I will never do that. It means that I'm
Abimbola,
trying to...
Abimbola, please let Adedayo continue his denial.
Exactly.
But
if I have access,
we know who
like,
is what.
Exactly.
So I have one question, please.
So I will just stand as a tutor.
Let him begin to
so let me be a tutor.
deal with that.
And don't let me be like, I know what you are doing. I have it. No, I will never do that.
Yeah, so
let me be a tutor.
Please, can you please run us through this test runner and in our test environment? Yeah, again.
No, there's no test runner in your test environment, so that you don't make mistake.
Okay, test runner in our Visual Studio when we want to run the test after the installation of SpecFlow and all the Nugget package.
Okay. Is test runner manual testing, or we know we have test plan. Automation. Test runner is what you choose when you set up your project. You need to choose which test runner you want to use, whether you want to use SpecRun SpecFlow, or you use NUnit, or you use MS Test, or you use XUnit. Those are the runner that will help you. So those are the runner that will determine the NuGet package that you need to use. You know, when you choose the test runner, he have his own NuGet package. So if you choose SpecRun SpecFlow, you don't need NUnit 3 test adapter. No. You don't need NUnit console. No. You need just 3 things if you use SpecRun SpecFlow runner. You need Selenium.support, Selenium.WebDriver, Selenium WebDriver, Chrome driver. You just need Selenium, and you already have SpecFlow. So you can also install SpecFlow, but it's not always needed to install SpecFlow because you already integrated that SpecFlow in step 2. But if you're using NUnit test runner, it will now drive you to use the NuGet package that support the runner. Because you have an engine in your car, you need everything that support the engine to work as well. So maybe you need a fuel filter that will put oil. I might be wrong, but I'm very bad in maintaining vehicle. Maybe you need oil in the oil pump to put oil in the engine. Maybe you need blah, blah, blah to do something with the engine. So those are the NuGet package that comes with your test runner. So when you have the NUnit, please mention all the NuGet package that support the test runner NUnit, which is NUnit 3 test adapter, NUnit itself for assertion, NUnit.console, NUnit blah, blah, blah. Then if you choose MS Test Runner, talk about the MS Test NuGet package that is needed. Now,
please don't take us to where we don't know.
That's
now
the question you asked.
Please, yeah. Now I from what you now explained to us now, I know that we are using 2 test runner. We are using NUnit test runner, and we are using SpecFlow. So now,
no, you can't use 2 runner at the same time for a project.
That's what that's the next question I want to ask.
No,
because
you can't. You can only have one.
But we install NUnit and all the
NUnit is not runner. You install NuGet.
NuGet. Okay, there's difference between NUnit NuGet and NUnit test runner.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for this.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
we have not even been introduced to NUnit test runner at all.
No, you will be introduced. Don't say that. That's where you download all the NuGet package for NUnit. That's the test runner that you selected when you are doing your framework from scratch. Am I right, Adedayo? Because that is the NuGet package that you have. NUnit 3 test adapter.
We download it, but I think we are not using them.
You are not downloading. No.
Abimbola, yeah. I think he wants you to tell him the difference between the 2.
That's what I just said now, but I've said it the difference now, isn't it?
Explain it to him.
Yes, you said the difference, but to me before, I think the NUnit NuGet packages that we installed, I think they were part of NUnit test runner. But now that you have clarified that we don't have
they are no, not that you think. It is the runner that you select. The template you use is SpecFlow template. Did you get it? But the test runner is NUnit. Did you get it now? You know, when you go to file and you go to new project, you need to select a template. Whether you want SpecFlow, whether you want NUnit template, whether you want, by the time you select SpecFlow, that is when you say type SpecFlow, and that thing will show blue, and you can highlight it. Then it will tell you at the bottom, click next. The next is now talking about your project. Next, we now say, put your project name. Did you get the flow now? You put, oh, Kayode Automation Project. Now it talks about the location where the part where you want to set. You put it in your C drive. Then you click on next. So the next one is now talking about the version of your project. The version of the project is different from version of Visual Studio. Version of your Visual Studio, you are using community version, but you also have another one for the CProj itself, whether it is 17 point blah 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 or 16.0. I don't want to go too far. You also have some version like that. Exactly. So that part you are asking question for is now the version of the project. So which project are you, what did you want to use? You want to use version, whether 6.0, 3.1 is outdated. We all know that. But I still use 3.1 at work and it's still working. But the only thing is that 3.1, they said, oh, if you have issue, they are not able to troubleshoot for you. We should all upgrade to 6.0. And the version is based on the test runner. So if you see that in the drop down, if you have NUnit test runner, if you select it, it gives you all the version relating to NUnit. Now, if you select Spectrum, if you check at the top, it enables the version of the Spectrum SpecFlow. But the one I use for, and it's over on YouTube, we said NUnit framework. So you need to go back and watch it. And I think the person that uploaded it on YouTube specifically put NUnit framework so that you know that this framework is NUnit test runner and it supports all the Nugget package for NUnit. So at the bottom, you select, and we select NUnit that night. And we also choose a version 6.0. Then we click create. So by the time it creates, it starts uploading the dependency, blah, 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 the package, everything. By default, it will create a folder structure for you, which is the features, steps, and I've forgotten the third one. I don't know the third folder that you create. No, you will be the one to create your own page objects. No. No, I've forgotten the third one, but if you can't remember the third one like I did now, just mention features and step definition. By default, it creates a steps and feature folder for you. Then you will now be the one to add additional folder structure, which is the page objects, which is the hooks. You are the one that will do the hooks. If it's by default, fine. If it's not by default, then you create your hook folder and also test data folder. Be prepared to answer test data folder because it's not part at the beginning of your setup. It is something that you think will be needed. What is part for your setup is feature folder. That one is definitely there. Step definition, mandatory. Page object is an option. You can either have a page object to run your automation or you don't run it on page object. Hook is mandatory because you need a hook. And you can either have your hook in another class and don't call it hook, or, you can have everything in your step definition. It depends on the project, how you want to do it. But they are, the main one is the features, the steps. The hook, fine, you need to have it. Page object, fine, you can have it. Utility, fine, you can. You can see the one can, which means that you want to start separating some classes inside those folder. Now, page object, you want to use page object module, whereby you know that page object is this, blah, blah, blah. Did you get it now? Have I answered the question?
Yes, abundantly.
Yeah. So I think someone was raising up. I think it was Olat. I think it's gone. Okay. So should we end the meeting or should we continue? Or when are we going to stop today's session? If there is no more question.
I think you need to rest.
Adedayo, is that true? Should I ask one more question again? Or we should rest? We should go
Okay,
and
you
sleep.
can ask us. You can ask us. I think so.
Okay, I will tell Rexford to ask you question and Rita so that we throw it open, because I've asked you 2 questions now. So if Rexford have any question for the testers, please, and Rita one also, please, so that we can share it.
Okay, thank you, Akinbola.
Okay.
So guys, what is the type of weight and what do you use?
Your voice is going and coming, going and coming.
Oh, sorry, let me yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to ask, what are the type of weights in Selenium, and when would you use these types of, weights? When is it advisable to use them? Or how do you use them? How do you go about them? Yes.
So who wants to start? I don't want to call names.
I'll go
Okay,
first.
Tunde wants to start. Okay, thank you.
You have 2 types. You have implicit weights, you have explicit weights. Implicit weights is put in the hooks and it affects the whole program. And it runs within a certain time. And with implicit weight, you have thread to sleep. It's part of implicit weight. Then explicit weight is you put it in your program. And it's you put it in your program. Implicit way you put in hooks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can pass it to the next QA. You can call the next QA.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Kayode, can you give it a go? If Kayode is not ready, whoever is ready can give it a go. Because this is also one of the...
Yes, let me like Tony has said, we have implicit and explicit weight here. I was just looking at one of the way that I set up in my hooks. I think that was thread was sleep, and then I made it. And then I think in the page object one can also set up some weight there as well. So that is my answer to it. Thank you.
Guys, please, it's an interview question you are answering, so just to give you the heads up on that. Okay, thank you for that. Ade, can you also give that a try? Olusegun.
No, I can't give it a try. I've not read much about it. No, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. We have Olusegun on the call. Is he able to talk?
He's at work.
Oh, he's at work.
Yeah.
Olusegun is at work, yeah. He said it's not just, it's not in a place to talk here.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Can I go again?
Yes, also, I think there's okay, because I'm mixing it up that with driver.quit and driver.close. So they are not way. So implicit and explicit thread or sleep, and another weight. There's another way that I set up in page object where I give it some seconds, where I give it maybe 1,000 seconds and 5,000 seconds before the website closed.
Yeah, with implicit weight, because the thing about it is that Selenium normally goes a lot faster. So when it opens a page, before an action, if you don't put weights, normally when I created my framework and I created my framework, what I realized is that without putting these weights, the program will not work. So you need to, I needed to slow down the Selenium so that the action can be carried out, like click. So that's what I did when I created login. I realized that I needed to when it opens a page, I needed to slow it down. So then I used implicit weight, used implicit weight to slow it down so that I can select, I can enter the keys into it. Otherwise, the program will not work. So that's why I did for implicit weight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think that's it. Okay, the three of you, yeah. So that's a good try. That's a good try. I asked this question because I took you guys on weight, so I was like, okay, let me give it a go and ask you guys. So yeah, in an interview, if you are being asked what is weight, you know, and the types of weights they have, most of the time, sometimes they might not specifically ask you what is weight. They might ask you what is synchronization in Selenium. So you should also take a note of that. And like the other time when we had the class, I mentioned that as a tester, one of the skills you need to have is to know how to handle your weight. So yeah, we have three types of weight. You guys didn't mention the fluent weight. I think none of you mentioned the fluent weight, but yeah, that was a good try. So we have implicit weight, we have explicit weight, and we have fluent weight. And with this type of weight, all has got their advantages and disadvantages. Yeah. And I think was it Tunde, you did say thread.sleep is an implicit weight. You got it twisted over there. Thread.sleep is an explicit weight. So with implicit weight has got a time span which like from seconds. So with implicit weight, it takes the whole block of code, right? So you say, for instance, you give an example. So when I'm setting up my automation framework, I usually like to put my implicit weight in my hooks folder, because the hooks folder is like the base of the framework, where the framework starts to run from. So you like to put your implicit weight in your hooks folder, and you say to them, so with the implicit weight, it takes the whole blocks of code, which has got its advantages and disadvantage. So for instance, if even other codes don't need to take the seconds you have given it to run, other codes are also going to use that seconds to run. So you don't really like to use implicit weight, but you like to use explicit weight, because with explicit weight, you can ask a specific element to wait for a specific time, a specific time before it can run to the next block of code. But just like Abimbola mentioned as well, in your automation framework, you can have a class where you can handle your weights in your utilities folder, where you can handle your weights. So you can also say, so in your automation framework, you created a folder in your utilities where you created a weights. You created a weights class in your utilities folder where you handled your weight, and you give an example that so for with a weight and with the fluent session as well, it has got a polling agent which runs in milliseconds. So with the polling agents which runs in milliseconds, it runs in milliseconds at 250. So with that one as well, for instance, if you set your if you are how should I say this? Sorry guys, I know it's an interview question, but yeah, if you set your fluent weight, you can set the polling seconds by 250, which in every 250 seconds it will verify if Selenium has located the element on the element on the website. You understand? So try to sometimes try to mention the keywords also in the buzzwords, like Abimbola said, the buzzwords, so that these things can help for them to know that, okay, you have an idea about what you are talking about. So I think it's a good try, but you guys should just try to not mix up the words, just like Tunde said. thread.sleep is an implicit wait. Just not try to mix those things up just to ruin everything. And you can, okay, with a thread.sleep as well, you can also say, oh, with thread.sleep, you understand very well as a tester, you know it's not advisable to use, but sometimes if you are running your code and you want to, and if your code is failing and you don't want to debug, you use thread.sleep just to see what is happening on the website. And you give an example. So for instance, if you are running a regression, if you have a regression suite you are running, and imagine you have thread.sleep in every line of code, and it's 5 seconds, it will take forever to to run your regression suite. So this is some of the disadvantage of thread.sleep. That is why you don't advise to use it. You get what I mean? So you say things like that, just to let them know that you have an idea, you know what you are talking about, and you use it. Abimbola will explain better, our QA madam.
Yeah, thank you, Rexford. I think you said it all. Rita, did you want to add to it? Hi, Rita. Okay. So I'll just say that Rexford has said everything that we need to know, but because of time, we move to.
Oh, sorry, I was talking.
Rita, did you want to add to
my question? Sorry.
Okay. Did you want to add to what Rexford has said, or you want to ask
Rexford has said it all.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to ask them my question?
Please.
Or?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll just make it easy for you guys. Let me not get you guys worked up. Okay, so I believe you guys have been taught locator. So if you can just it's also an interview question. You can be asked how many types of locators do we have? If you want to give it a go.
Yeah, okay. We've got expert. We've got locate by expert. We've got locate by ID. We've got locate by name. You got locate by partial. Is it partial word? You got locate by class. I think those are the ones I remember.
No, I've not heard locate by class before, and I've not heard locate by partial word.
By partial test. No. So what will help you to remember it properly is there are 8. So because
you
even
are saying the answer when everybody have not answered.
Oh, it's because you started. Okay, let me leave. Yeah. Okay, the next person should take over. I'll meet myself.
Yeah, that locator is it? I think I don't really, but and is it the CSS selector expert, absolute experts?
You are using question to answer question.
Anyway, so let me say I'm a bit blank on that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. At least you are honest about it. Yeah. So we move to. So we just. Adedayo is not on the call again, so we have to comment. So Rita, you can go on. Because the two Ola and Olusegun is in. They are both halfway.
Yeah. That's fine. Hopefully they are listening. So guys, every little thing that you can just think of, they are really, really vital when it comes to interviews. So I remember the first time I also grabbed it, was when we were doing interview prep and it was thrown out there and Chika quickly. So I said, no, I need to know this, So that was when it clicked that it was 8. And then they are ID locator, expert locator, CSS selector, name locator, class locator, link text locator, partial link. You said partial text, it's partial link. And then the type.
Yeah, partial link. I think there's class, right? Class name.
Yeah, I said class. I said, yeah. There's class name, there's name locator, yeah. So those are you guys can always check it out. Just always Google it, something like that. Yeah. That's one way of knowing it.
Yeah.
I hope
Thank you.
If I said, we have experts and we have absolute experts. Are they different or they are the same?
They are different.
No. They are
different. So I can state them differently.
No. You will say absolute is part of your locator. It's expert. Now you want to break expert into pieces. by finishing it for the panel to say, panel, I'm going to finish this locator for you today. You know, the panel asks you, panel Rita, which is, she's a panel. She asks you locator, you mentioned expert. Now, you now want to let Rita know that I know this, not by textbook, but I've used it. So you can now say, we have absolute and relative to all these locators. Mostly CSS, you don't want to pick two. You want to pick two that you can even relate with. You have absolute CSS and you have relative CSS. You also have absolute expert, you have relative expert. Now, you know, you've answered locator. It's just that you want that score. If you're thinking in your head, you will score 3. I know that locator is just going to give you 1. You want to add extra to it so that they can change their mind and just put half, because that half can go a long way, can even push somebody at the top down. So you can say that in that locator, we have absolute and we have relative. Absolute is not good to use it. This is the reason. If you use an absolute, if a developer fixes that particular code, it can make your test to start failing, because it means that blah, 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 in your own way, not my own way, in your own way. Now, the relative is just specifically for that element, not because absolute, we have to start from the beginning, like it starts with a body. And if you use that type of a locator, it means that whenever anything is changed and it affects the body, it's going to break the code, which is going to fail your test. Now, the relative is specifically to, if I'm automating a sign up button, if I have to click on sign in button, I need the element for the sign, because now you are now telling Rita that I don't just know the textbook, I have used it and I can break it down for you. Did you get it? So let us apply this method when we are doing interview. Even if Rexford or me or Rita asks you, go as much as you can. Don't give us textbook. Give us textbook and now put flavor into it, so that even if Deji is on the call, and you know that all these 10% that Deji give on this platform is because of the extra that people do. If Deji is saying do presentation, he only asks you to present, but you've gone extra. Then when he's doing the review, you say, oh, that was good. In fact, I give you 10%. So now take the 10% that Deji is giving you. If Deji want to employ, if that presentation is for you to get a job, tell me how Deji will not call you, say that they should give you the role. That is exactly what I was saying that you should do. So when they ask you one question, Jara, put Jara to say that, yes, answer the question, now go over the question, so that even if the person stop you, you already finished the question, you kill it. Because always have in mind that you are like 5 or 6 that they will interview. And another thing is that your CV can have Blue Sky Citadel. Adedayo can apply to the same place as you do. In fact, all your team, squad, advance and every can apply to the same place, but you can stand out with the way you answer interview question. Did you know that? So you need to go as far as you can for interview, because you need to hone it. Like I've been doing this for so long. It will not be, textbook is we have experts, we have CSS, yes. Then for you to say absolute, Kayode, it means that you've used it before, isn't it? Isn't it? It means that you've used that locator before.
I tried all of them.
Exactly. So that is how you should now talk at interview. Because for someone to mention absolute and relative, of course, they must have experience where they can see. It's because you have an extension that shows you. The selector up is an extension that supports our elements. The extension shows you this is relative, this is absolute. But in the DOM, whereby when you inspect element, it will not tell you this is relative, this is absolute. But how do you know? It starts with a body. Did you get it? The absolute
Yes,
starts with a body.
okay, if I can put it the way I understand it.
Yeah.
Absolute means that it contains all the elements that is in
Exactly.
that is involved in the coding, and it involves all the body, that everything is intact there. So while relative, it may be so that set of code that is not fully that is not as full as absolute.
No, I won't say that, and I will not call it code. It's element. It's not a code. It's just an element. Yeah, the one you put in your framework is now you are now making it a code. But I will say that element, because that is what we have in the DOM, is an element. So that you don't mix code. When you try to put it in the framework now, it's now transforming from element to code now, because you are now coding it, whereby you are writing as a method for it. You are also writing an object for it. It's now transforming from element to a code now, which is code. And you know why they call coding for kids? It's because they try to combine two things, 1, 2, 3 together and make it start moving. Try to put 1 or 2 or 3 to form a robot, and that robot start talking. That is a code. But on our own locator is just elements, not a code.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank
you.
Yeah. So Rita, if I may ask, yeah, you said there are 8, though I always see something like maybe 6. We have ID locator, expert locator, CSS locator, and class link locator, partial link, and which other one? The other 3 ones.
Sorry, can you come again, please?
We have ID locator, expert locator, CSS locator, class link locator, partial link locator.
There's no class link. It's class name.
Okay.
Then partial link.
Partial link.
Yeah. Then link text. So I think you are mixing it up, because the other time you said partial, or was it not you? You said partial text.
Link
so there's
text.
link text. Yeah. And then there's partial link.
Okay.
And then there's name. So there's class name, there's name.
Yeah, I said I mentioned I have 6 now, and you said I think you mentioned 8. I just want to get the
tag
rest.
name. So I'll take it again. There's tag name.
Okay.
There's class name. Then there's name. So those 3, name. So
okay.
Then you now have partial link.
Yeah,
and then you now have link text.
Link text.
Yeah. So which make it 5 now, right? Those 2, Then you now have the CSS selector and the expert and the ID.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But it's not necessary that we will find all these 8 in when we are inspecting our locator. Or must all the 8 be there?
No, not all the 8 is there, but some will be there. Like if you see anything that has to do with ID in your element, they can say first name, ID, first name.
Yeah.
So you know that, of course, that is ID, is unique. You don't need to copy anything. But whereby you don't want to use ID, you can right click and copy what locator you want to copy. Or if you can customize the rest, good. But you have this extension, which is the selector of. Anytime you use it, please try to see all the elements. and try to see why is this one different. The tag name in your selector hub, if in your selector of the CSS is hash first name, then the expert is maybe / or / first name. The tag name will be something different. So it is that one you look, okay, tag name. So if I'm using this element as a tag name, this is how it should be. If it's a partial link text, there should be a way that it will be written. So from that, you'll be able to figure out how to customize your own. Because there will be a time you will try CSS, is not working, it's failing. You try expert, it's failing. What do you need? You need another class. You need class name. You see, class name is like another shortcut to pass your test. Because if you try CSS, it's not working, just try class. And that class means that you need to know the name of the class that element is inside. If you don't know the name of the class, the element is inside, it will fail. So when you know the name of the class, now give it any name that is inside the class for the element. So when you give it a name, let's say it's first name, but when you're using class name as your element, you can type the word first. So the word first means anywhere in that class, it says first, pass it for me. That's what it means. Did you get it? Any word that is written first in that class, of course, that first should be in your DOM as well, which is DOM, should be in the DOM as well. But you know, in the DOM is called first name, but because you want to use the class, if you're using the class name, you can type the word first if you're inspecting first name, because you know that there is no way first will not be in the class. And in the DOM, you know that there's a way it starts. The greater than and less than, if you try to inspect it very well, go to the HTML of the DOM, you will see the greater than less than where it starts, where it closes. Did you get it? So that's why you will say, yeah, expand this, let's go up, let's go down, because everything is still in one class. Did you get it? So don't read everything now. If it's going to be confusing, pick two, which we use mostly at work. The one I use at work is ID. When it's difficult, class name, because when it comes to, okay, expert is not working, CSS is not working, I go to class name, or I use the tag if there's a tag that I can use for that. But those three, and you can also use the link text. If there's a link whereby you have to use the href, you know, there are some cases that you have to use the link, which is, one of them is href. You know, href is an hyperlink. Did you get it? Whereby it needs to click on that link. Maybe the button, the element is a link. Have you seen anything like href in the DOM before? H and REF.
Yeah.
Whereby you show www.prepmajorcourses/courses blah blah. Because you have tried, you've tried ID is not working, you've tried CSS is not working, you don't want to use a link. So now you now have href. Of course, you must see href before you can use it. So the developer has also put the hyperlink there. So you need to write your element, your object as href. So it's not, you can use CSS for href. So you just put CSS selector can be used as href or the ID. So under CSS, you can have href. So if you select CSS, or mostly just stay with CSS for now, because I've tried it and it worked. If you select CSS, private by CSS, now put your customized href code inside. Did you get it? That's why we need to do more of this automation. But if you don't have challenges, we don't know where to start. So you need to say we are having trouble with this automation before we can go further. But if you don't have challenges with automation, we will believe everything is fine. So I haven't seen anybody saying that I have lots of errors. Can we look at this? Or you reach out to Rexford or Rita. If you don't reach out to us, we don't know where to start. We will just be like talking and talking and talking. Did you get it?
Don't worry. It's
For
because you are
on their behalf. They are doing a lot in the background.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh, wow. That's
it's
good.
only you are a guy at the top. That's why you don't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Abimola, can I ask one question? You see, with the HREV, with the element when you are trying to customize, there's this one also. Is it LI?
The LI is the one that is also an hyperlink as well. I won't say it's an hyperlink. I think Deji mentioned it in the previous class. The LI, I don't know why they use it in the DOM, because sometimes it's kind of make the element a bit of trouble locating that kind of element. And you can see that I think Rita, I don't know who was the QA on that code that was having element non-interactable. That was, I think BC was on their website, and that plugin have an LI in the DOM. So that LI is just, because I'm not a developer, I'm in that customizing the DOM. I will say developer that customize DOM, which is code. Deji knows how to do that LI very well. But I will just say that we can still inspect the elements in the LI as well. And please, let's ask Deji more about the LI. Did you get it? Because he is more advanced in development than me. I'm just a WordPress developer. I'm not a PHP. We have someone that was teaching PHP before, but because the program is 3 months, before you know, the program finished, and I wanted more. I mean, I always like more. And I could not get the more because the developer is already gone. But of course, I can start learning that one online, but it'll be too much to learn. So I say, okay, let me just stay, because I'm not applying for developer role. I'm only using it to expand my knowledge. But maybe we can throw it open for Deji if he can get a PHP developer or anybody among us that can code, and we can move from WordPress to PHP. And we now know more about the LI.
Thank you. Because last night I was with one of the guys on the call, and we were trying to, customize this LI particular one, and it was giving us troubles,
Yes, it's a bit of epic. Yeah. Did you download the selector up to help with the locator?
No, we were customizing it ourselves, because we were trying to customize it, and the LI was playing out. We couldn't get it down.
Yeah, that's LI for you.
Yeah, I know. Okay, thank you, Abimola. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, QAs, we need to stop the class now, or we should continue? No, we will stop because it's only Kayode that is now left now. So Adedayo is not, and Tunde, yes. So maybe we should stop for now, and let's see what the admin will say about your next class. And you can also reach out to, if you want more, to the admin.
That's what I want to ask you now. If you want more training or more just practical exercises,
reach out to Olaomi or Adedayo to reach out to Olaomi, or you can also ask Deji during your demo that, please, can we have more of this session? Of course, it's not in Deji's hand, also because you have people that manage this program as well. But reach out to Olaomi, and if he can speak, she can speak to Deji about you, because all this thing is a program. People are responsible for all your meetings. I cannot just call meeting because you are still in the internship. I can just call meeting for advance. I cannot just call meeting for internship. So I need to follow protocol. You know, for advanced now, I can just put a message, QAs, can we meet? Because, of course, anybody that is free will join me. But for the program, I don't have power over the program because the program is something that is run. They have the admin team, they have the management team. I'm just a tutor. Did you get it? Yeah. So until you finish and you are in the advance, then we can do any day, anytime. Did you get it? If you're in the advance, yes, we can. You can just call Rexford and say, Rexford, can we have a meeting? Or you can call Rita. Rita will answer you, yeah. Or you can call anybody in the team. Then you know that this one is not a program that is being managed, that is currently on. It's something that we can do at any time. Did you get it now?
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
thank you so
yeah,
much.
please reach out to Olaomi, yes. That question will now be solved. Okay, thank you, everybody. So I believe we can end
you,
our
Abimbola.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Rexford.
Abimbola.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Abimola.
Thank
I learned a
you.
lot tonight. Thank you.
Ah,
Thank you.
I also learned from you. Hey, Rexford, you just
Oh,
Thank you,
can't wait.
Abimbola.
oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. Even people at
Thank
work
you so
now, they
much.
are
Thank
talking
you.
now. Thank you for joining at work. It's also good because it means that you wanted something, but the work is not letting you to answer interview question. Don't worry. Next time, Ola and Olusegun, you'll be the first person we will call so that you can come and answer the question too. Thank you, Tunde, for smashing that automation and come and smash the interview now. I don't know when you are going to be free to come and show the team how you are able to smash everything.
It's good though. It's good though.
Kayode, you see who to call. Oh. Kayode, you need to get some of his code so that your framework will be robust.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, get his code so you have a bulky framework here.
I just copy all your codes. I copy your codes. I copy Kwame's codes. I put in mine. That's all I do.
Yeah, so Kayode can copy too. Don't worry. Let him copy so his framework will be robust like 15. Yeah, but well done. You did well. Everybody did well, but you put more into the feature file.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Abimbola. I'm going.
Rita is tired. We can end.
No, me, I'm just resuming work. I have things to do.
Okay. All right. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
So about the recording, why do you say I should drop it?
Okay, I'm just a co-host. I think when I end the meeting,
okay,
it should drop on your laptop.
Yeah.
It will drop and you will see that pop up and it will start downloading. So you will download in that, it will set a default path for you. From there, you see it at the last. So it will be the last. You put the charts there, you put everything, but we only need the recording. You put MP3. MP3 is also there if people want the MP3 instead of the video. If you just want the MP3, is also there. Then we now put the video and voice. Yeah. So that's the one I always share, not the MP3.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.